If you're 60 or older and your eyes keep opening at 3 in the morning, the reason is not stress, not the temperature in your bedroom, not the cup of coffee you had at lunch. It is something happening in your liver while you sleep. There is one drink, prepared the way my grandmother prepared it for the women in our lane in Hangzhou, that quietly settles it. Even at 70. Even at 75. In the next 15 minutes I will show you the leaf, the steep, and the one piece your body can no longer make on its own after 60. Most folks blame the wrong thing. They cut coffee. They turn the thermostat down. They take a sleeping pill that does not reach the trigger because the trigger is not in the nervous system. It is metabolic. Here is what your body is doing tonight while you sleep. Your liver is supposed to release small, steady amounts of sugar into your blood the way a slow tap fills a sink. In a younger body, the tap runs evenly. In an older body, after 60, the tap sputters. Sugar comes out in bursts. The body, alarmed, releases stress hormones to bring it back down. Cortisol, adrenaline. The same hormones that kept your great-grandfather alive when he saw a wolf in the field. Cortisol at 3 in the morning is what wakes you. It is also what raises the number on your meter by morning, even when you ate well the day before. The drink I will share works on the liver all night while you sleep. By the second week, you sleep through 3. By the 4th week, the meter on your kitchen counter shows a smaller number when you wake. But the leaf is only half the answer. After 60, your body loses something else. Something it cannot make back on its own, no matter how clean you eat. We will come to that piece. Stay with me. My name is Zhang Wei. For 50 years, I have practiced what my grandmother and her mother before her practiced in our family's herbal shop in Hangzhou. I began at 15, washing roots in the back room while the women of our lane came in for help with their bellies, their sleep, their tired hearts. The classical texts say all illness begins in the belly. The Yellow Emperor's classic taught it long before any laboratory in the West existed. Now the laboratories are catching up. They are showing what we already knew. The gut shapes inflammation, hormones, sleep, immunity, and the way your blood holds sugar through the night. Across 5 generations of women in my own family, I do not know one who developed what your doctors call type 2 diabetes. Not one. The eldest among them lived past 90. Her mother lived to 89. They drank the same drink every night the way I am about to show you. In 2017, researchers came to Zhejiang province with their notebooks. They followed 3,000 adults across our region for 4 years. Folks who drank this leaf regularly showed 41% fewer cases of metabolic disease than folks who did not. 41%. The lineage was not surprised. We had been watching this for 1,000 years. In the West, blood sugar is something a metformin tablet manages. In our tradition, a leaf has done this work for centuries before either was synthesized. But there is a reason it works less well for folks over 60 than it did for my grandmother, and that reason is the second piece I will give you tonight. The leaf is mulberry. In our tradition, we call it sangye. The Japanese folks call it kuwacha. In both lands, women have steeped it before bed for as long as anyone can remember. What sits inside a mulberry leaf is a small molecule called 1-deoxynogermycin. The researchers shorten it to DNJ. It is the reason the leaf works. The plain way to explain it is this. When you eat carbohydrates, an enzyme in your small intestine, alpha-glucosidase, breaks them apart and lets the sugar flood into your blood. DNJ slips into the place where alpha-glucosidase does its work, and it slows the enzyme down. The flood becomes a drip. The blood sugar rise becomes a gentle slope. Imagine a doorman at the door of a small shop. Without him, 50 people push through at once, knocking over the displays. With him, they enter one at a time. The shop stays calm. That is what mulberry leaf does in the small intestine 6 to 8 hours after you drink it. While you sleep, here is why this matters more after 60. Beta cell function in the pancreas drops by about 30% after 65. Insulin sensitivity drops with it. This is why the woman who could eat anything at 30 cannot eat the same way at 70 without paying for it the next morning. The leaf was made for this season of life. It does the work the aging pancreas can no longer do alone. A second study, this one from a Japanese university in 2019, followed 2,400 adults over the age of 60 for 2 years. Those who drank this drink before bed showed a 38% reduction in fasting glucose compared to a control group. The researchers were surprised. The villagers in Anji, when they were told, were not. Now I will teach you how to make this drink the way it has always been made. Pay close attention to the small things. The small things are the entire teaching, and one of them is the difference between a cup that works in 2 weeks and a cup that does nothing at all. You will need 2 teaspoons of mulberry leaves dried whole. The kind you can still see the veins in when you hold them to the light. Avoid the powders and the capsules. The good ones smell faintly of fresh hay and something a little sweet behind it. If your leaves smell of nothing, they are old and they will not work. You will need water that is hot but not at a rolling boil, 175 degrees Fahrenheit, about 80 degrees Celsius. The water should hiss in the kettle and stop just before the boil begins. Pour it over the leaves in a small clay or porcelain pot. A glass jar will do. Now the small detail 9 in 10 folks get wrong. The steep time. Folks read the box and steep for 3 minutes, the way they steep a black tea. 3 minutes is not enough. The DNJ molecule is held inside the cell walls of the leaf, and it takes time at the right temperature to coax it out. A 3-minute steep gives you a third of the medicine. A 10-minute steep gives you all of it. 10 minutes. Cover the pot. Set a timer. Drink the cup 30 to 45 minutes before you lie down. The body needs that window for the leaf to begin its work in the small intestine before sleep slows everything down. Do this every night for 3 weeks. Do not skip. The leaf works on a steady tide, not a single wave. Let me tell you about Eleanor. Eleanor is 71. She lives in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and she taught 3rd grade for 38 years. When she came to me, her fasting glucose ran around 138 every morning. Her doctor was 3 months away from prescribing metformin. She did not want metformin. She wrote to me, and I sent her the same instructions I have just given you. 2 weeks in, Eleanor wrote back. The 3 a.m. wakings had stopped. Her glucose had dropped from 138 to 124. Real progress. But it stuck there. Week 3, 123. Week 4, 124. The leaf had done what the leaf can do, and then the needle stopped moving. This is what I have watched happen with hundreds of women over 60. The leaf gets you 60-70% of the way home. The last piece does not come from the leaf, because the last piece is not in the leaf. It is in the soil the leaf lands in. I sent Eleanor a second letter. I told her about the soil. She added what I will share with you in a moment. 5 weeks later, her glucose settled at 112. The full distance her body had been trying to travel. She wrote, "Mr. Zhang, I have my mornings back. I made my granddaughter pancakes last Saturday, and I did not need to sit down between batches." That is what the full picture does. The leaf alone got Eleanor halfway. The soil work brought her home. Before I share the soil teaching with you, may I ask one small thing? The button beneath this video. If this teaching has reached you, tap it. It costs you nothing, and it lets me reach more grandmothers, more aunties, more sisters who have lain awake at 3 in the morning and felt forgotten by the system. 2 seconds. That is all. Now the soil, the leaf does its work in the small intestine, but the soil it works in is the gut itself. After 60, folks lose roughly 50% of the beneficial bacteria they had at 40. Half gone, and the body cannot make them back on its own, no matter how clean you eat, because the bacterial colonies that establish in childhood do not regenerate in old age the way muscle does. This is the piece that has changed in your body since you were 30. This is the reason the same drink that kept my grandmother off diabetes will not, by itself, do the same for you. A garden needs 3 things together. The seeds, which are the live bacteria, the compost that feeds them, which is prebiotic fiber, and the small healing compounds the bacteria leave behind once they have eaten, what researchers call postbiotics. Seed, soil, fruit. The leaf gives the body a clean signal. The garden is what holds it. This is why a probiotic alone is not enough. A probiotic without prebiotic fiber is a seed thrown on bare ground. It dies before it grows. And without postbiotics, the small healing compounds, the garden has no fruit to show. All 3. Seed, soil, fruit. This is the teaching that came down in our lane. For my grandmother, the soil was already there. Pickled vegetables 3 times a day. Bone broth. Whole grains that fed the bacteria from childhood on. She did not need to put the soil back because she had never lost it. You and I were not raised that way. The soil thinned. We have to put it back. This is the question I spent 3 years trying to answer. After Eleanor, after dozens of letters from women like her, I understood that the leaf alone was not enough for an American body over 60. I had to find the second piece. I tested everything. The kombuchas in the refrigerated case at the grocery store, fermented but mostly sugar with bacteria that died on the way home. The pill form probiotics, 50 billion CFU on the label, but the stomach acid kills most of them before they reach the small intestine where they are needed. The expensive powders blended with prebiotic fiber, but no postbiotic at all. None of them carried all 3. The one I landed on after 3 years of looking is called BoochBod. I want to tell you why I chose it, because I am not in the habit of recommending things lightly, and the women in my lane will tell you the same. First, it is a kombucha gummy, not a pill. This matters more than folks realize. The stomachs of folks over 60 are gentler. They produce less acid than they once did. They reject pills. They wake the swallow reflex differently. A gummy dissolves in the mouth and the upper digestive tract, the way food was meant to. My 90-year-old auntie cannot get a pill down without water and a struggle. A gummy she takes like a piece of candy after dinner. She does not even feel it as medicine. That is how it should be. Second, it carries all 3. The seed is lactospore, a probiotic strain bred to survive stomach acid by design. The soil is the prebiotic fiber that feeds it. The fruit is postbiotics LM-4, a clinically studied postbiotic, the small healing compound the bacteria leave behind. And it carries dandelion root, the same herb my grandmother kept in a jar above the stove in our Hangzhou shop, for the liver, for the morning bitterness. Third, the makers stand behind it with a 60-day guarantee. You take it for 60 days. If your fasting glucose has not moved, if you do not feel the difference in your mornings, you send it back and they return your money in full. No question. No fight. Over 30,000 folks are using it now. The link sits in the description below this video. Please speak to your doctor before starting any new supplement, especially if you take blood sugar or blood pressure medication. The conversation matters. But this is what I send the women who write to me when the leaf has gotten them most of the way home and they need the last piece. This is what I sent Eleanor in that second letter. With the leaf and the soil in place, 3 small companions tighten the rest. A slow walk after the evening meal. 10 minutes is enough. Around the block or 3 times around the living room if the weather is poor. The contraction of the muscles in your thighs and calves pulls sugar from the blood without needing insulin to do the lifting. A half teaspoon of cinnamon a day on a baked apple stirred into oatmeal. Cinnamon contains a compound that mimics insulin in the muscle cells. Studies show a small amount taken regularly lowers fasting glucose by around 12% over 12 weeks. And lights down by 10 in the evening. Lamplight, candle light. The blue light from a television tells your pancreas it is still daytime. The watchers in our tradition simply went to bed when the sun went to bed. The body remembers. Walk, cinnamon, soft light. Each one borrows from a different part of the body's wisdom. They are small, they are free. They make the leaf and the soil work harder. Dear friend, what we have walked through tonight is about the mornings you still have ahead of you. The ones where you stand at the stove in your soft slippers, the kettle just starting to hiss, the kitchen still cool from the night, and you are steady on your feet. The ones where your grandson sits at the table with his homework, and you cross to him and put a hand on his shoulder, and your hand does not tremble. It is never too late. The body knows how to mend even at 70, even at 75, even at 80. The pancreas you were given was made to last a long life. With the small evening practice I have shared and the soil work underneath it, the body finds its rhythm again. Sometimes faster than you think. Let me lock this in for you. The leaf is mulberry, 2 teaspoons, dried whole. Water at 175 degrees, hot but not boiling. Steep for 10 minutes, not 3. The cup, taken 30 to 45 minutes before bed, and underneath all of it, the gut soil, because after 60, the leaf alone is not enough. Seed, soil, fruit. All 3. If your mornings have been heavy for too long, the link to BoochBod sits in the description below this video. 60-day guarantee. Tap it tonight, before you forget. Speak to your doctor in the morning. The bottle will be in your home before the week is out, and the work can begin. May you sleep through 3 in the morning tonight, my friend, and may you wake to a quiet kitchen, the kettle close at hand,